What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to another episode of Off the Record, where I go through Reddit's personal finance subreddit and look through some of the questions that people have under there, give them my opinion on what I think of the situation and what I think they should do. This is, of course, not financial advice. I am not a financial advisor, and take with what I say with a huge grain of salt. But I think in these last couple of years, I've learned a lot when it comes to personal finance, investing, work, and I believe I can add value to these people and help them in their situation. So without further ado, I'll put the screenshot here on the screen. This reads, 21 years old, 20K in debt. I am 21 years old, about to get out of the military with other than honorable conditions. I made a few mistakes and now I'm going to pay for them. When I get out, I'll have around 3K to my name with 2,500 in credit card debt and now about 17,500 in debt on a vehicle that broke and I couldn't pay for it and did a voluntary repo. I'm not totally sure how much I owe out on the 17.5 since I gave it back, but I'm sure it's at least a few thousand. When I get out of the military, I don't think I'll be receiving any benefits and I don't know where I'll be leaving. I have no vehicle or assets. Is it too late to save myself? How do I bounce back from my mistakes? Just looking for some insight. So it looks like he got into a pickle here with the car. 17,500 on the car is a lot of money, especially whenever you don't have an income. Looks like he's getting out of the military with not many benefits, which is also not super favorable and for him. And first to answer his biggest question is like, how do I bounce back, or do I still have time? Like, of course you still have time. You're 21 years old. Like, you're so young, and I'm 25, so I'm not necessarily super far out, and your life can change really, really fast for the good. So please, hang in there. I think first of all, talking about the repo, that stuff already happened. You're going to get hit on your credit score and it's not going to be good. But, that's what you have to do. If you couldn't afford it, I think first thing is figuring out how much you owe and then seeing how much interest is on that debt. And depending how much it is, it's probably going to be a lot. Tackle that first. And the $2,500 in credit card debt, that's probably around 10, 15, 20% when it comes to the rate. So that's another big one that you have to tackle. First things first is find where he's going to live. And then second, which maybe even first, find a job. Get a job anywhere that's paying you 20, 25, 30 bucks an hour. You're 21 years old, you're in the military, you've been around people, other teams, you can behave in teams and add value to people. So find something that aligns with your skills. I have no idea on this person's background, but try to find an entry-level job somewhere that's paying you 50, 60, 70 grand, and you can start tackling that debt. So I think that's the first good step for you. Once you figure out that debt, you're going to feel a lot better to start making these money moves. And, I recommend everybody to start with a Roth IRA. So that could be a first account that he can open. Go on Charles Schwab or Robinhood, Fidelity, Vanguard, whichever account you choose. Go and open a Roth and start putting money in there and buy a total index fund like VTI or VOO, for example. So that's where I would start. Wishing you the best. OK rate 6697. You still have a lot of time. Do not give up on this finance stuff. You got this. Okay, so this is post number 2 that we'll be reviewing. It reads, should regular savings account be separate from emergency fund? I want to start by saying that I know this question has been asked a lot here before. Nobody's answering the question. Instead of saying emergency fund should be separate from other savings, i.e. down payment, car payment, etc. I already have separate vaults for all those things, but my question is if an emergency fund is different from my regular savings or if they're the same thing. For example, I've got 4 separate vaults: car maintenance, down payment for a house, gifts/vacation, and one for all bills such as credit card payments, insurance, etc. And then separate from that, I've got a general savings account that I've had for several years. That's what everybody says to do, but I'm confused when people say emergency fund. Is that what generally savings is for, or should I have another vault for emergencies? And if so, then what else am I saving that money for? So look like this person here, they're pretty savvy with their money already. Looks like they got different vaults, they're calling it here. So it's already pretty awesome. You're allocating money for car maintenance, down payment for a house, which is a big thing. So you have enough money for gifting, which is awesome. So you're pretty money savvy at this point. And that's a great question that I think a lot of people get mistaken. It's a regular savings account. It's the same thing as an emergency fund. And honestly, I think an emergency fund, it's only for essentials when it comes to 3 to 6 months of living expenses, and that should be untouched. So that should be in an account where you just lock it up, leave it there, and only use it for emergencies. And I see a savings account as money, for example, that you can use for your car maintenance or your down payment for a house. So it looks like you already have multiple vaults, so you're calling it, but they're really like savings accounts. So I think your savings account should be money that you're already allocating to it. So it looks like you already have savings accounts over here, and you're allocating that to your car, down payment for a house, gifts. So in my opinion, I think an emergency fund should be separate from your savings, and you should have 3 to 6 months in there, and do not ever touch that. Let it compound with a high yield savings account, yielding you 4% or so. So your money's working for you a little bit. And that's how I see an emergency fund, and that's how I see a savings account. But it looks like you're already doing pretty well. So congrats to you. Okay, breakfast 363. This one's interesting. We got a new dad looking for future planning. So this reads, I've always disliked money, disliked managing it, the hustle, the bustle, and the idea of debt and credit. All of it completely disinterests me. For that reason, I don't have credit cards, and I've only taken jobs that I felt were more so for me than money earning. Last year, my partner got pregnant, so I decided to try a new job where I could make a bit more money in case my daughter wanted to explore hobbies and so on. However, the job's gone insane, and I'm feeling very fortunate. My earning potential is essentially uncapped, and I'm not going to be millions, but I could be making £100,000 per year if I wanted. I want to ensure I can retire comfortably, preferably early if possible. Nothing major. I want a life where I can just go into the countryside and birdwatch or sketch. We live within means of our basic salaries, and I want to use the extra in prep for retirement and give my daughter a good start in life. A little bit about me: male, 33, mortgage of $230K. That's their only debt. 6 months saving buffer. The advice I've gotten is all over the place, and some guidance would be much appreciated. Wow, this is awesome. So this guy went from being someone who didn't really want to work for money much, where it looks like he's got a pretty cool job making $100K a year. Looks like his upside is essentially uncapped. So, I'm guessing he has like a sales job of sorts. I have a sales job as well, and I think it's a lot of fun. It's certainly very difficult, but it looks like he's enjoying himself, making a good bit of money too. 100K per year is awesome. So he has a daughter on the way, which is pretty amazing. So congratulations on that. You're already thinking of her financial future and how you're going to raise her, which is super responsible and awesome. Looks like you have a mortgage of $230,000, which is honestly a pretty good debt right there. I think mortgages are some of the best debt that you can have. And I'm not sure your terms here on this $230K, but if it's like a 30-year fixed at like a 5%, 6%, you're in good shape. And you also have 6 months of savings, which kind of acting as a emergency fund, I suppose, like we talked about earlier. So you're in a great spot, man. I think for you, you're starting to make more money, which is awesome. Like I mentioned for the other guy, start opening with a Roth IRA. And it looks like you're in the UK, so I'm not sure if Roth IRA would apply to you. I'm sure you're going to have some kind of retirement account. And I think that's a good first start for you. It looks like you already have 6 months of savings, which is great. You're already building equity in the house, which is awesome. You can even look into buying another house down the line. Looks like you already have one yourself, so you know how the process works. You can even move out and then go live in a bigger house since now you have a daughter, and use the house you have already as a rental. That's going to generate some income for you. Obviously, it depends on your monthly payment, and there's a lot more into that. But when it comes to retiring early, this guy is honestly pretty good right here. FIRE is generally achievable when it comes to retiring in your 50s. And when you're 55, you're 33. You have like more than 20 years to save and invest your money. And it's awesome that you're already thinking about retiring early. which is a phenomenal goal, I think. My opinion is you start maxing out some of these retirement accounts. So your 401k equivalent to your Roth IRA, you learned how to do a mega backdoor 401k if you start making more money. But that's, topic for another conversation. It's so here in the US, you can only contribute to your Roth IRA if you make up to 160 grand. But there's a way to contribute to a Roth if you make more money than that. So that's what I meant by the mega backdoor Roth. But in his case, I think learning on real estate investments and just stock investments in general, just think index funds. It looks like he doesn't really want to manage or go into the super nitty gritty of stuff like I do. So just buy a low cost index fund from Vanguard, open a Roth and put that money in there, open a 401k, buy a low cost index fund in there as well. Think of your real estate as an investment. So you have a mortgage of $230K. That money is paying down your debt. So it's already awesome. You're already paying down some of the principal and some of the interest, and put a tenant in there. Get them to pay down your mortgage. So that's what you can think of in the next 1 to 3 years. Here in your scenario, you can start saving money for a down payment at a new house. You can start saving some of that money to invest in your 401k and your Roth. I think this guy is actually in a great spot. FIRE is super achievable for him. And yeah, best of luck to you. So I think this guy is actually in a phenomenal spot. And if you buy a house every 3 to 5 years, by age 50, by age 55, you're going to be in good shape, and you're going to have rental income coming towards you. You're going to have your retirement accounts that you can withdraw. So just start getting pretty aggressive with investing. And now that you're making more money, you can take some bigger swings. So congrats to you for taking the leap and finding a different job that pays you more. So I appreciate you guys watching. Let me know if you guys would have done any different in the comments. Don't forget to leave a like, and let me know what you guys think of the series. I'll talk to y'all soon.